The Snake Lair is officially on hold, and the ThunderCats are on the loose in the Masters of the Universe right now on Toy Habits Live.
And before we go live, smash that like button, turn on notifications, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss a beat.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Toy Habits. I'm Michael.
And I'm the Toy Sorceress. And you're watching Toy Habits Live. How's it going, Michael?
I'm doing fantastic. Can't wait to talk about the news and the ThunderCats with you. How are you?
I am doing great. It is a very warm Sunday. I could say that much. But spent the day doing a little bit of toy hunting, so that was fun. But I am super excited to be talking some ThunderCats.
Yes. That'd be super fun.
Yeah.
Super fun. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What did you do this weekend?
Super fun. Yeah, I didn't do too much this weekend. Like I said, I did a little bit of toy hunting today, ran some errands yesterday. I hit the pool Friday afternoon. So yeah, it's been good. How about you?
I did toy hunting yesterday. It was a pretty chill day today, so it was nice. Not too much going on.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's funny because like yesterday I was like really tired, right? And I didn't feel like doing anything because maybe I was just tired from the work week or something. And then today I was like, oh, we didn't do much yesterday. Let's go out and toy hunt and do something. And we ended up driving kind of far. To,
where did you go?
To the South Bay, down at that shop where you found your Star Destroyer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Down there. So that's right. I picked up just some random items, but
very cool.
Nothing super exciting.
It's all exciting.
But it was exciting, and it looks like the chat is also excited. It is hopping. We got a lot of people here, and it's been a crazy week in toy news and twists of plots, right? For this whole crowdfund and everything. And we're going to really get into it, but let's go ahead and check in and see who is all here. We got crew member Damian Ristori in the house. We got crew member Joe Colvin, Tiempo de Toy Habits. That means it's Toy Habits time, people. Good to see you, Joe. We got Hal Jordan here. Crew member Stanley's Toy Channel is joining us. Right hand of Skeletor is here. Esther Rivera is here. Oh, look at that. Someone called Toy Habits is here too. Thomas Biancasaro is here. We got crew member Stephen Komarak joining us. Joe Rizzo 30 is also here. We got the one and only crew member Neil Hunter Hyde is joining us. And a big congratulations to crew member Daniel Huron for being one of our OGs. 16 months.
That's
crazy. I can't believe it's been 60 months. Money can't buy happiness, but PayPal credit can buy a USS flag. Daniel, is that what you're doing with your PayPal credit? We also got friend of the channel, Toy Hunters Hollow in the house. We got Kevin Florence here. Journey Retro Toys is also joining us. And my apologies, it looks like my
Oops, I think we lost the Toy Sorceress. Let's see if I can continue where she left off. Let's see, German Retro Toys. Okay, here we go. We got Helder Santos. We got Toy Monkey Customs. We got Adopto and the Nuno Biz. And apologies for if I say names twice. I wasn't really keeping track of where we were. So we'll just do it. Oh, that's all right. Oh, you're back. Okay, cool. Great.
Our little experiment went awry of me loading all the images. It's not helping. Just put a pin on that. Keep going, Michael.
All right. All right. We got Attaboy. We got crew member Robert Alessandrini. We got Black Phoenix 77, member for 3 months. Thank you so much, Mr. Black Phoenix. We got the Baroness of Toys. Esther Rivera, who's actually Frankie Rivera. So he said that he was joining from, he left his phone at home, so he's joining in from
Oh,
the other. We got Joel
good to
Coleman,
see
another OG Toy Habits member for 16 months. Effing love Toy Habits and Toy Habits time. I think Joe coined the Toy Habits time thing, which is awesome.
yes,
We have
he did.
crew member Ryan Cole, Highly in Dread, and I think I am going to actually not stop there because we have Sir Matt Douglas and Ryan Cole being super generous and gifted 10 Toy Habits crew memberships to
Wow.
10 random people in the
Thank you.
chat. So thank you so much, Ryan, for your generosity as always and for building the crew 1 week at a time. Oh my gosh. And Joe gifted 5 Toy Habits memberships as well. Thank you so much. That's very awesome of you. And apparently Silver K is also in the chat, which I probably glossed over if she is around. Maybe she got called out by the Toy Sorceress, maybe not, but who knows. And all right, we got Jeff, and all right, I think we're done with the chat. So hopefully the Toy Sorceress will come back to us. If not, if you can hear me, we can't hear you, but if you can hear me, maybe close all of your tabs and let's not do that anymore. But hopefully she'll come back soon. But oh my gosh, super interested in talking about the bombshell that Mattel dropped on. Oh, you're back.
Hopefully we should be good now because it looks like my computer hadn't connected to the other. My computer hadn't connected to the other network. I thought it would automatically switch. So hopefully I should be fine now.
All right. Oh, good. All right. She is back. Well, awesome. Let's say hi to the crew before we dive into everything. And the crew has grown by 15 today. So this does not represent the 15 crew members that were randomly assigned memberships today, but we did have some crew members join from last week. I think Ryan also donated 10 memberships as well last week. So thank you so much. So super excited. And thank you all for the support. Yeah, Mattel dropped a huge bombshell this week. And they basically put the Snake Lair on hold, which was super surprising. What did you think about that?
Well, it was surprising that they made the move. The fact that they actually did it did not surprise me, because of the feedback they were getting. We should have known that something was up when they put out that poll shortly after San Diego Comic-Con, and I'm really glad actually that they're listening to the fans, because after all of us are the ones who are going to be buying this thing. And if it wasn't going to be successful, I think it's better now that they're course correcting before they launched. And so, and we're going to talk about this. I don't know what direction they're going to course correct in, but I really, and I know Mattel, sometimes some of them watch the show. So thank you so much for listening to the fans. We're going to get into a lot more detail today, but they're really doing the right thing. They really are. By listening to us.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, I was actually very surprised that they actually made an announcement, because they're really tight. They're usually tight-lipped about this stuff, and they really don't really share anything that's going on. But I think because they were on the hook with some deadlines, I think they felt the need to let fans know. And honestly, I actually love that they did that. And if we could get more of that from the Masters folks, that would be amazing, because we're always trying to speculate like what's going on the inside of Mattel, and now they're actually telling us that they are listening to fans and they're putting the thing on hold. And it sounds like they are, from their Instagram reel, they're still moving forward with the Snake Lair, but it sounds like they're reevaluating everything.
Yeah.
So yes. Yeah, a lot of interesting things this week. Pixel Dan also he did actually a few polls on Twitter and on his YouTube channel. So I thought this would be an interesting thing to go through and see, like, if our, if our viewers, which we share a lot of the same viewers as Pixel Dan, if they feel the same way. But Pixel Dan probably has a good pulse on the MOTU community in general. And it really started with one question, like, are you going? So I think he released this earlier. This was the first poll that he did. Are you actually going to back this? The Snake Lair crowdfund was the question that he asked, and we had an overwhelmingly no response from the majority of his viewers. So that was interesting. I was still in the undecided camp. I don't know where you were on, with this question.
I think I was most likely a no. And for me, it was because of the size. And even if it folded up, for me, it was really like the logistics of it.
Oh, got it. So just too big.
So I was with the majority of the people, but surprisingly enough, the reasoning for people's no answers is where the poll got very interesting, right? And it's not for primarily the reasons we all thought. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, he also followed up with like, why are you not buying it? Which is interesting. It's like, as a researcher, for my day job, we always want to understand the why. It's like, it's the binary answer of yes or no isn't super interesting, but you're right. It's the why behind the question here. So yeah, funny enough, like the smallest percentage of answer was, it's like, it's too big. And so it sounds like maybe people have space for big play sets. I don't know.
I mean, you would think, but they really don't. I mean, like, we're the exception to the rule that we've got, dedicated, these big, not big, but normal size dedicated toy rooms for, a little bit secondary space in a house, or we can dedicate a toy room where, most collectors are probably, using a corner of a bedroom or an extra room they have in the house that they've got multiple uses for. And we've already got, so many other big play sets, all these HasLabs that keep coming out. A lot of us who are MOTU fans bought Eternia, and that takes up a big chunk of real estate. And if you wanted to properly display the Snake Lair, you would want to open it up, right? And so that would take a larger table, similar to the space you're going to use for Eternia as well. So I'm surprised that It's Too Big was not a higher response. But the funny part is, and I personally didn't think $300 was that bad for a crowdfund project, right? Because Eternia was double the price; it was $650. So I'm surprised that was like the second place answer. But the first place answer, shockingly, was that there was no interest or no nostalgia connection to it. Now, when we all voted, apparently, the Snake Lair won in the fan vote. But I think at the time, the sketch that we all saw for the Snake Lair really reminded us of a Snake Mountain or a Castle Grayskull playset. It really looked like, one of those little clamshell, smaller compact playsets. It was even in some of the artwork that was released on cardbacks. So it's already been part of the MOTU canon. Like, we're used to seeing that kind of version of the Snake Lair in a couple iterations, right? I know it's still a sketch, but that's what we had in our mind. And so many of us, I think, had a slightly nostalgic connection to it because it resembled the playsets we were already used to. It had that flavor to it, right? It was very MOTU-esque in its like design and its style and all that kind of stuff. So even though it's not something that was made in the past, it related to the playsets we already own. And maybe at the time, people felt like, oh, this is really cool because it's like having another playset, that I've never owned before, but I could put all my Snake Men on. Now, when we saw the big reveal at SDCC, it was quite different. It was much more elaborate and had all these other components to it. And I think that that bit of nostalgia feel and connection and more that simplistic playset style went away. And so people had no connection to this thing that we saw at SDCC. And I think that's kind of maybe where they lost people. But that's just my interpretation. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because yeah, this thing won by a landslide, and you know, I know a lot of people in the chat didn't vote for the Snake Lair, but I think the fact that the illustration kind of didn't match what we got, I think was a huge part of it. And then once we got the huge reveal, yeah, there was zero ties or zero nostalgia like from that playset. It was basically it was a brand new design, something we've never seen before. But the funny thing is, the Snake Lair concept art, they've threw it on card backs, and so it's like that image and illustration is canon now. And I think Pixel Dan mentioned that in his video as well when he did this. And it's so you can't kind of morph the canon into something that is wildly different and also just wildly much bigger than what we were expecting, right?
Exactly. And so and this is what we voted on right here. We saw this same thing. I think it was on which card back was it on? One of the recent figures card backs. And
it was on Fangor's card art, and I forget who else.
But you're right, it was Fangor's. We saw it on a few card backs, and so now it became in our minds kind of part of MOTU canon. We haven't received it yet, but this felt like it had a flavor of nostalgia that tied back to what we already have in our MOTU collection, right? This is much more, you know, a la Snake Mountain style. And then when you see this, it is quite different. And I think, you know, part of it is, I mean, it's cool that they were including this rattle trap or whatever vehicle, but I think it's a little bit odd having it placed like in the mountain like that. It makes this thing feel a lot more techy, I guess, than, you know, this very organic looking playset design we had before. It just really changes the flavor of this whole thing. And you know, maybe what they could do is go back and, you know, slightly redesign this to look, you know, closer to the illustration, but, you know, still using kind of most of the central tower design. Maybe it's like one half this, and then if they wanted to offer, you know, this vehicle, it could be like just a separate piece or like an unlock tier or something like that. But I don't know that it was necessary to really have it like connected onto there. It takes away something from the organic feel of what this Snake Lair is supposed to be, right? Snakes are an organic form, and so kind of adding that device on there did something to it.
Yeah, I mean, it honestly looked like there were just too many cooks in the kitchen, and it looks like they threw in the kitchen sink, you know, with the design. And you know, and the design, if you look at it just from you know, that perspective, I mean, it does look cool, but it's not what, I don't think it's not what people expected, which was interesting. And I'm actually
it wasn't, and you know, taking a look at it.
Oh, got it. Okay. All right, let me just bring this up. There we
go. So apologies. I think my computer is not handling all of this. So I'm gonna let you keep driving, Michael, if that's okay.
What did you want to show, or what
so yeah, so we were taking a look at the close-up image. So if you scroll down one more, We've got the enlarged photo of the actual Snake Lair playset. Any one of those is fine. It's all good. But I mean, you can see here, and we saw this thing in person. You're absolutely right. It looked like there were a lot of cooks in the kitchen. There were a lot of ideas kind of melded together in this one big playset, and some parts of it felt a little bit out of place. As cool as that rattle trap vehicle or whatever it is was, it to me it felt totally out of place, like plopped onto the side of the mountain there.
Yeah. Oh,
My own
totally.
opinion. You know,
No,
it's very cool, and they could have
yeah.
offered it as a separate piece. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Before we go any
And,
further,
and
want to welcome Eric to the crew. So sorry, we were just getting to this. You did this a while ago, and but thank you so much for the support, Eric, and super happy to have you in the crew. Sorry, go ahead, Toy Sorceress.
Oh no, it's okay. And welcome Eric to the crew. They are an amazing group of people. So I was just gonna say, I mean, I understand maybe why they did what they did, only because they were trying to incorporate like these extra play features in here, and that's like the I think the dungeon or that torture chamber part of the playset when you look at it from the backside. And so maybe they were trying to do something a little bit more interesting to cap it off. But it to me it's like awkward. Like that snake's tail is like in the face of the main
Yeah.
snake in the front of the place. Like that's how like out of place it looks, right? Like that does not look natural to
No,
me. Like it shouldn't
not
be
at all.
parked there. So it was a little bit odd. It felt like there were a lot of ideas kind of amalgamated onto this playset. Now, you know, I want to give Mattel tons of kudos for being very creative. It looks like they
Yeah.
worked incredibly hard at designing this playset. The interior had so many super cool play features. I mean, if I was a kid and I owned this thing, I could see like hours of fun with it. But
Yeah.
we're being realistic and we're collectors, right? So logistically, it's a bit too big. It didn't match the illustration of what we saw, what we voted on. So that was what we had in mind. And then there's, you know, all these kind of extra bits and pieces attached to here that somehow don't make it feel too cohesive, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
But they did a really great job in terms of trying to be very creative with this. And I don't want to disparage Mattel's work at all. I could tell there was a lot of thought and effort and hard work that went into this. And you know, I love all of the snakes and all the snakes that are incorporated on the interior. But just something didn't quite land because we all had an idea in our heads of what the Snake Lair was going to be, and this kind of went to one side of that. I mean, what do you
Yeah.
think, Michael?
No, I mean, yeah, I think we've talked about the Snake Lair design quite a bit, but one of the more interesting things about Pixel Dan's poll is actually you never should write a double barrel question when you are writing a survey. So like no interest and no nostalgia, those should have been separated, but it looks like also part of it is like once people saw what they're actually getting, it's like they don't care anymore. They're like they're over it. They don't want it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely you know, something that was interesting, and I don't know if this is the first time that this has happened with a crowdfund where a company is actually kind of going not totally back to the drawing board, but they're reevaluating or kind of I don't know what they're doing per se, but there's going to be some changes afoot. So it's going to be interesting because a lot of this stuff is delaying the actual production of the piece that we're getting. And so anything that is coming, I'm afraid that this is going to be also pushing back things that are slotted in for like next year's crowdfund or next year's reveal or something like that. So that's just another thing to think about.
Absolutely. That's all gotten pushed, you know, now we're moving the calendar on all of the R&D that's been done for future projects, but we'll deal with that. I mean, I think, you know, getting this thing right is important. I really appreciate Mattel's thought and like their thoughtfulness and them really caring about what the fans think, because after all, we're their customers, right? And if they don't have customers for this, then the product's going to fail. So they need to do something that is going to be successful. Now, Pixel Dan's other questions are quite interesting, and they lend into the idea of selecting something that is nostalgic, right? Because after all, Origins is a completely nostalgic line. And yeah, they have introduced many new characters that fold into the whole world of, MOTU, and that seem to make sense. So those new characters are exciting, and that's great. So I'm not opposed to them making something new, but it's got to have a connection back to MOTU canon. And so these next questions that Pixel Dan asks, the responses are quite surprising. So if Mattel were to do a Fright Zone instead using the same crowdfund, would you buy it? And surprisingly, 49% said yes. Now, the Fright Zone was never made as the Doom Tower, right, was never made, but we all knew that from the cartoon, so we have a connection to it. But the Fright Zone is something that everybody wants eventually in this line. And what form factor is it going to be in? It's small, compact playset that can go straight to retail, maybe. Or another way it can come out is part of another larger crowdfund project. Go ahead, Michael. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because I think people's minds have changed once they saw what the Snake Lair was. They're like, oh wait, I think I think I should have voted for the Fright Zone originally. And so
I actually did vote for the Fright Zone initially, because I think we had like 2 votes or something like that.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't vote for either because I was tired of playsets. So like we already got the huge chunky Eternia playset, and I was like, let's do a vehicle, right? Let's do a Horde command crawler or an attack track. That would be interesting. It's something new, and we don't really have.
You know what turned me off about? You know what turned me off about both of those? What? Even as cool as they were, we just got the freaking Hiss tank from G.I. Joe Classified, and I'm like, I don't need another big tank. I just got a tank. If you slap a Horde face on it, it's still a tank. So I was like not into tanks because we literally had just received it, and so my mind was like, I want a cool playset for my Snake Men. I voted for. I think we had 2 choices, so I voted for the Fright Zone and the Snake Lair. But the Snake Lair looked like a clamshell playset, and that's what I wanted. I wanted a little, fold up, and it fits on your Billy bookcase. Either closed or open, and it doesn't take up a ton of room. And to me, I'm like, if not, I can just fold it up and put it on the floor. And it wasn't going to be this huge, like, oh my God, I got to rearrange my whole toy room to fit this item I just bought. It was going to be like, oh, it fits in with the world I already have. And at some point, maybe you display all 3 together, and it wouldn't be like a big deal. But what they showed us, I think, what got me was that picture of Eternia next to the Snake Lair, and they were almost the same in size. Yes, it's a little smaller, but it wasn't that much smaller footprint wise when it was open. And that kind of like is what really what got me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, and I think this kind of ties into his earlier poll, just the results around just wanting something nostalgic and things like that. Nostalgic. So yeah. So anyway, that was Pixel Dan's vote. And interestingly enough, we also this morning we wanted to run this poll again just to see what fans were thinking about what's changed. And I was just reading one comment. I think launching a poll right now is not fair because it's clearly obvious that people are not going to vote for the Snake there just for the sake of keep hating. I don't think it's hating. I think people are evaluating what the choices are, and this looked wildly different than what we were what we thought that they were developing. So I think there's a big difference. So
Mhm.
Yeah, there's a difference there. And so, but interestingly enough, like if you look at our last unofficial vote, the Snake Lair, with that design won by a landslide, and the attack track
Yeah.
actually came in second
Right.
place. And let's
Yeah.
flash forward to today. We have nearly 500 votes. We just launched this poll this morning. And so barring
Mhm.
barring a couple thousand votes coming in, the results aren't really going to skew. And so we
Mhm.
wanted to kind of redo this poll and take a look at people's opinions. And the front runners are the Fright Zone is actually coming in first. And then we did a interesting
Mhm.
combination of like, what if they did a Fright Zone Doom Tower Slime Pit combo? Like, just kind of
Yeah.
created that whole um, filmation world and just kind of brought everything together.
Mhm.
So sounds
Yeah.
like people are
And
changing
you
their
know,
minds.
I mean, you know what would be really cool, and I don't know if they would even be able to do it, but if it would be like a choice, like sort of like what Hasbro did with their Cantina. So they had a Cantina and they had a Cantina Deluxe. So what
Yes.
if they had and it was whatever price point difference, and they had still its minimum tiers or backers to meet. So they could do like a Fright Zone, then
Yeah.
they can do like the Deluxe where you get um the slime pit, and then do like the Ultra or something with the Doom Tower. So then maybe that way people would have a choice as to not have to get all three, but they could customize and say, okay, yes, I want a Fright Zone. Oh, but I want to spend a little extra money and I have the space for a slime pit. Oh, and then I have a lot more space and I want to be the one to also pick a Doom Tower. So kind of giving people that like option to maybe piece them all together, and they would still need to meet a minimum backers for like the Ultra one, and then like let's say the base tier to be able to produce it, right? That could be a good option for people so that they're not committing to buying a ginormous set of three, but they'd still get like that minimum thing that they really wanted.
Yeah.
That could be a really great compromise, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I totally thought that that would be such a viable thing for them to do, and I think that's what actually made the Cantina fund was having those, like,
Yeah,
'cause it was the have it your way baby option. And, you
exactly.
know, with with the Fright Zone, there's so many ways that you can do a combination, because the Fright Zone is, I think it's too small for a crowdfund, but if they wanna add
Yes.
it as a separate thing, that's totally
Mhm.
fine. They can still crowdfund it. Like, they still have to
Yeah.
make it, and so I guess
Yeah.
now they'll know that, "Oh, okay, we have this many units to make. Great." That so it won't be, like, sitting on the shelf and get clearance, and then they can
Exactly.
make all of the other things. Um, One thing that I thought was super interesting, and we know Mr. Home Arcade is just the
Mhm.
kind of king of, uh, getting, like, things that he wants made in the way that he wants them. And so
Mhm.
this is a really amazing custom by
Wow.
a Bombstar Outcast. And so this is something that is, could be used as a inspiration for
Wow.
like a future design, right? It's kind of like you have that
Yeah.
nostalgia of the Fright Zone, you have the slime pit integrated into there. It's kind of a kind of fortress looking thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I thought it was an interesting idea now, but Mr. Home Arcade goes big. So this thing is 4 feet long or wide, and so we'd want
Yeah.
to scale it down just a little bit, just to make it a little bit
Yeah.
more
And
palatable.
the cool thing is, and you can imagine this kind of thing. Let's say the Fright Zone was one end of it, the slime pit was another, and they could be modular with, something on the bottom so that they could connect. And like the Doom Tower could be in the middle. So
Yeah,
so they had, connection pieces on their base. Or if you didn't want that, then the slime pit and the Fright Zone can connect their bases together, and then that's a little playset, or you have them stand alone. But all together, they can make this big, really cool scene, and they would make sense in terms of where those connection points are.
yes.
And seeing it as a ginormous big playset, if that's what you chose to do, would be an amazing option.
Mhm. Yeah,
They don't have to be, these kind of standalone pieces, but they could have a great way to connect their bases. And we've seen Mattel is already really good at doing that and connecting, various different base pieces, like our Wind Raider, like having the Talon Fighter connect to the top of Grayskull. So They're great at building those kind of world building pieces and having them separated as well.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, so Mr. Home Arcade commissioned this this custom design, which was awesome. And he has this video up on YouTube, which is cool. And he also has a bunch of pictures on his Instagram page, and it's kind of cool looking. But actually rolled into the video.
Cool.
He is also doing a SDCC Too Bad giveaway. So if you want to check out that video, you can get enrolled in that giveaway that he's having. But man, he makes these like crazy scenes and stuff like this, and this is kind of the back diorama of the Fright Zone.
Wow.
It's kind of cool what he does, and so it's just interesting to see, like, you know, what comes out of the mind of Mr. Home Arcade. So
Yeah,
it's just a crazy place.
That is amazing. Oh my god! Wow, look at that big snake. It's not just like a little hand puppet anymore.
I know, it's crazy, and it looks like,
you know, and it's coming out of like the slime pit.
Yeah,
like like it's the lake, the slime lake or something like that, right?
There's like some device in there too. Like, yeah, I mean, there's so much in here, and
wow.
If anyone from the design team at Mattel, if you're thinking about things for next year with the 40th anniversary of, you know, we're celebrating She-Ra, the Horde, and everything else, like, this is great inspiration to start with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, something like this is very cool. And you know, going back to, I mean, it looks like Mattel's probably set. And I know we're all like, oh my god, we're all getting excited, you know, by our poll here, kind of going down another path, looking at the Fright Zone and the Horde. But I don't know that Mattel's going to do that. I think Mattel's just going to go back to the drawing board on the Snake Lair. This is all wishful thinking. It's great. And maybe Mattel, hey, if you're listening, next year's crowdfund, this would be great. You know, it could be that they can't go back that far, and maybe what they do is they just tweak their design and try and salvage part of it and kind of just reconfigure what they've given us with the Snake Lair. So peel it back a little, and I think they'd be able to peel it back to more of that concept design, you know, not too difficultly, right? Not lose a lot of what they've done. I think a lot of the interior, at least a portion of it, could be kept. Right? You know, we've got the center part of the throne room, and maybe one half where the, you know, the clamshell part would be of would either chamber would be pretty cool. It's still totally doable.
And I think I think they're still plowing ahead with the Snake Lair, which is fine. I mean, there's that adage of sunk costs, right? They've already produced one of these things, so I don't know how much money goes into the design and production of just one of them, but it's got to be expensive because you have to make the mold for all of the other ones.
Well, it's not just that. It is all of the time that the designers actually spent working on this. It's the pre-production time prior to developing the actual hard model of it. There's a lot of engineering that went into it as well. So there's many hours of, I guess I want to call it, in architecture, we have soft costs and hard costs. The soft costs are like the man hours of the design time, you know, all of the engineering, the management, the actual designing of the thing. And then the hard cost is the construction of it. So there's a lot of hours they've lost already in terms of development and design into this. But I'm hoping that they could take components of it and save some of that. And even some of what they've designed into the mountain and just kind of you know, revise parts of it. And I think they could still turn this into a very cool, more nostalgic looking playset and not lose a lot, right? Yeah.
Most definitely. And also look who snuck in here. Mr. Home Arcade's ears must have been burning because we were talking about your Horde playset. Awesome. Thank you so much for gifting 5 Toy Habits memberships. So 5 lucky random viewers will get 5 Toy Habits crew memberships. So thank you so much. But amazing playset, amazing concept. I actually want to like visit Mr. Home Arcade's house because it just, I mean, it looks like the land of Masters of the Universe. Also, don't forget to watch this video on this thing, and also you'll be entered into the drawing for SDCC too bad if you write a comment and subscribe to his channel. So really cool stuff. Awesome. Anything else to cover off on the Snake Lair? I think we probably beat the snake to death over the last week.
we beat the place over the head with the snake. I think we just again, thank you so much to the whole Mattel design team for listening to the fans and going back and tweaking this to something that we're all going to really love. I think again, if they retain some of the ideas here and just dial it back to what we saw when we all voted on this, I think that they could still move forward with a really cool playset. And I know everyone's excited about a Fright Zone, but put a pin in it. Just because they make the Snake Lair, and again, it's going to be in some kind of different form, does not mean they're not going to make a Fright Zone. Okay, so we'll still get it. And I'm sure it was already in the works, and we're all getting all excited. It's just probably the next project down the line. And obviously it seems they're not done with their snakes yet, right? Because we're all screaming from the rafters for the Powers of Grayskull, but we still have to wait. So this is going to be a cool playset, I think, once Mattel goes back and revamps it, and we'll be happy, and we'll have more room. We'll get this thing a little bit smaller. It'll be what we're kind of craving, and then Fright Zone will make its way to us. So let's all be patient. Let's support Mattel and what they're doing. And let's hope we're going to get something very cool out of it. And again, thanking them for listening to the fans.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. And I have to agree with Chef M80. Mattel do a solid and hook MH with the prototype. He got it. Totally.
That
yeah.
Awesome.
Mr. Home Arcade also collects prototypes too. So I'm sure he would.
I wonder who's going to get a hold of this, because now this is as Pixel Dan mentioned, this is an unproduced playset.
Oh, that's true. Oh my gosh. You'd find this on Heritage Auctions one day or something of just 20 years, 20 years from now, unproduced playset. Jeez.
There's gonna be it's gonna be in Pixel Dan's volume 5 or something of MOTU book, unproduced playsets from back in the past.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't have too many, but this will definitely.
Yeah, I know, right?
One for the books.
This will be in the books. Yep.
Totally.
That along with the giant dinosaur that we never got.
Yes. Gigantosaur.
Just like Gigantosaurus. Yes, exactly. And on that note, we did have a very cool episode planned for all of you. Minus this breaking news that we just got. So let's dive in, and we're gonna say ThunderCats ho, because ThunderCats is coming to MOTU, and I can't be more freaking excited. This is awesome news.
So excited for this.
I am too. I want to tell everybody a funny story, because as you know, we were at SDCC, Michael and I and Meg J and his friend Danny, that was on our show last week. We were all sitting in the panel room watching the MOTU panel. The end of the MOTU panel was so heartwarming, because we had Brittany, what's her name? The voice of She-Ra. She had just finished saying, "By the honor of Grayskull." She did the whole sword thing. I got weepy, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so amazing to be in this room." And then the last thing they cut to was thunder and lightning. There was no symbol on the screen, and someone said, "Oh, there's something going on with the weather." And as soon as I saw thunder and lightning on the screen, I lost my shit, and I was like, "No way!" ThunderCats? I thought to myself before the symbol came up there. And Michael, I think it went over your head, right? At first, because we didn't see this, and I don't know if Mega J realized it too, and then it took 10 seconds later, then they flashed the ThunderCats symbol on there, and we all lost it. Yeah. Right? It was an incredible moment.
Oh yeah, it was incredible. Yeah, it totally went over my head. I was like, "What the heck are they doing?"
Well, I got it because it was my dream come true.
I know.
MOTU and ThunderCats crossover. I could not believe it. I went through the roof. You guys probably all heard me, because I was recording. I was recording in the panel at the time. I don't know if I said anything there on the video, but this was a very cool moment to see this, and I can't be more excited. But so we're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about ThunderCats concepts. There's some very incredible talented people out there. We're going to show you some concepts right now, both sketches by some of our fellow, creatives and toy collectors out there, as well as some custom figures that you can even buy on eBay. So let's dive in, Michael.
Yeah. This is really interesting because once this crossover line got announced, like creative juices were already flowing from our, good friends over at ThunderCats Classics. And I wanted to ask you, like, we know the Turtles of Grayskull is a wild and crazy mashup. They have mutations, they got ooze, they have all these crazy things. What do we want to envision for the Masters of the Universe Origins crossover with the ThunderCats? Like, do we want a crazy mashup or do we want something subtle like this?
Okay, so in my opinion, this is just me. I don't want a mashup. I want, if you scroll down lower, an actual 5.5-inch MOTU Origins style. I'm using air quotes. MOTU Origins style Lion-O, Panthro, Chitara, Tigra, etc. in that 5.5-inch really cool articulation, changeable parts, etc. figure. I don't want a mashup. I don't want like Lion-O's face smashed into He-Man, trying to make him look, as cool as this is, it's not what I'm looking for in this line. It's just not me. If you want to throw a really cool ThunderCats logo on like He-Man, that hey, he's visiting Thundera, fine, but don't smash Lion-O's face in it. Like there's no reason that they would be like melded into like that anamorphic, animal or whatever. It just, to me, it just doesn't make sense. On TMNT, you have ooze, and that could do anything to somebody. It mutates shit. So go ahead. They went crazy, and that was fun. But that's my opinion.
No, I have a differing opinion. Like, I'm totally fine with a mashup like this because, I guess what is a crossover with MOTU if it's not something like this? It would just be a standalone ThunderCats line, which is fine. They've done it before, but I think if they were going to do a mashup like this, it would have to be super, super subtle. So it's like, this is not too crazy and too out of the realm of possibility of like mashing up Lion-O and He-Man. I thought this was a very interesting concept and just way to go. And barring just a regular ThunderCats Origins line, which I think would be awesome, I would actually like them to do something like this too. Okay.
Well, again, that was my opinion. I've been reading a lot of comments also on this. And some people are excited to get like something in this effect. But a lot of the comments I read were like, give me classic ThunderCats in Origin style.
Oh, most definitely.
And again, how the worlds are going to collide, we don't know. But maybe they could do it through accessories, armor, things like that, and not necessarily deform the characters into like a mix of worlds, right? They can match them up or cross them over in another way, not necessarily turning Lion-O into He-Man.
Gives me an idea.
That could be a
Gives me an idea for another poll we could do just around like, do you want a literal translation of ThunderCats into Origins, or do you want some subtle mashup, or do you want them to go like off the rails crazy like they did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? But I don't think the cartoon and the lore supports that crazy and wild like mashup, especially the Reptile War stuff that we saw at SDCC. Like, there's no way that the ThunderCats line could support any of that.
No, it just doesn't. It doesn't jive with that world. And these incredible customs by is it called Argenta, I think?
Argenta
2008.
Argenta 2008. Yep.
2008. Yeah, Argenta 2008 customs. This is what I want. This is exactly what I want. And like I said, if they want to say, hey, He-Man came over to Thundera and give him, Lion-O and He-Man became best friends, and here's Claw Shield, and here's another Sword of Omens, and you're going to join the Thundercats and help us. Great, but don't turn him into a cat. Like, that's my opinion. He-Man should have turned into a cat. But these look cool. I mean, this is exactly what I want.
Yeah. Oh no, totally. Yeah. Like these look great,
Or
and
vice
I would
versa.
expect.
The Thundercats will be Eternia.
Yeah, I would expect something like this to be designed, because they do create some normal-ish characters for the TMNT crossover, but Lev Chef M80's comment, it's like you can have the Thundercats crash on Eternia and then build the story from there. It's like they don't have to like crash and mutate and do all this crazy stuff.
Exactly. That's my point. They can coexist in a world together where they don't have to morph into each other to be cool figures, right? There's cool things. Like, I really love, the He-Man armor with the Thundercats logo on it and He-Man wearing a claw shield. That's great, but give him He-Man's head. He doesn't need to turn into a cat.
That's funny.
That's what I'm trying to say.
But interestingly enough, Argenta 2008 custom figures, he does made to order customs, and so actually, if you go to our article that we have on the site, all of his eBay listings are linked, and so if you want to order these, and if you actually want a collection of these, and if you're not sure if Mattel is going to do this, you can actually just buy the collection from Argenta 2008. So that is all there for you. And so, but interestingly enough, like we were also thinking about, like, okay, if they did a mashup of characters, like who could they mash up? Not that we wanted a true mashup, but we were thinking, okay, Panther would be cool to mash up with Stratos, I think, because they're both gray.
Great. Great, and maybe a little bit similar facial structure or something. So
exactly.
It was just kind of a natural, hey, two gray animals or whatever. But like, look how cool Panther looks. I mean, in origin style. I have a collection. I have a whole collection of the Funko Thundercats Savage World figures. But God forbid I don't put them on display or move their legs, because they'll just crack right off. They're stored away. But that form factor for them was really cool. They were in MOTU style. They really had something going there. Their face sculpts were like, a little off or whatever. But like, if they did them right, like this, like, they would be incredible. And we also have some mock-ups. Michael, I don't know if you've passed it over there with the on the Lion-O, but if you scroll back up, we have some mock-ups of what the card backs would look like right there. And this could be really cool. I mean, could you imagine either a mashup of MOTU red rock bursts with like kind of the Thundercats white, I don't know what you call the little white background and the Thundercats logo on it, or vice versa with the Battlematic action, like, little like logo on there. I mean, either way, like, this could look so cool. And incredible job to Thundercats Classics for mocking this up. Or this was this from Thundercats Now or Thundercats Classics?
This was from Thundercats Now.
Okay. Yeah, we do have some Thundercats Classic ones for Mum-Ra down below. But yeah, something like this would be incredible. Like, I would just love to buy extras just to keep on card backs. Like, if they had the black background, like the actual Thundercats
that'd be awesome.
card backs, you can't get those anymore. Like, you know how expensive a carded Thundercats figure is these days? Like, that would be really cool. Like, go all in on that, Mattel.
If
they got the license, I would do the black cards.
Oh, totally.
My choice. Totally. What do you think, Michael? Like, what would you love to see if you got to choose one style for this line?
Let's see. I think the one on the left is too predictable with the rock burst, and so, but the one with the black card, I think, is a little too plain for me, and so I think the guys at Mattel, especially Roy's team, who does all the creative, I think they can probably do a really cool mashup of something that's Eternia, or melding the worlds of Eternia and Thundera.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
So.
yeah, because given what we got with the Turtles of Grayskull, they did an awesome job at adding the little extra illustrations on the front of each of the characters. Could you imagine like Lion-O and He-Man, like little
Oh my
illustrations
gosh,
on the front?
so
That would be
cool.
so cool.
But
I'm
He-Man is
getting
not a
all excited.
He-Man, not a cat. That's
No, He-Man, not a cat.
not a cat. But no, I
Uh,
agree. Panther looks awesome. Mr. Home Arcade also did his own customs, and I think he mashed these up with some
mhm,
Super 7 parts. So yeah,
mhm.
I think you can see the
Yep.
all that stuff. But yeah, so he kind of had his own
Yeah.
ideas and just different head sculpts that came with the Super 7
Mhm.
figures. I think was an interesting way to go.
Yeah.
And then you had an interesting mashup if they did one with like Tigra and Man at Arms. I thought that was an interesting way to go.
Yeah. And the reason I selected this has nothing to do with aesthetics at all. Because obviously Man at Arms and Tigra look nothing like each other. The reason I selected it is because Tigra is the architect for the Thundercats. He's the engineer for the Thundercats. He's like their main, world builder of things. And so I thought that Man at Arms is kind of like, has a similar role in Eternia in terms of coming up with devices and building things and that kind of world. So I thought the two made a good mashup that way.
Oh, totally.
Plus, one has a little bit of orange on
Oh yeah.
them.
Yeah. But yeah, like as I'm looking at these longer, like these little like 5.5-inch like posable Thundercats would be so freaking cool. You can see Tigra dueling with Groon. Little spoiler alert to another one that's down further in the list. But oh my gosh, Ray
Yeah,
Alonzo would also love a MOTU Thunder Tank. Like that would be cool.
yeah,
Could
that
could we
would be
get like
so cool.
could we get a
One
battle
that
ram?
treads actually roll.
Right. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love my Super 7 Thunder Tank. It's very cool, but it's basically a museum piece that sits there because the damn thing is so heavy the treads don't roll when you push it. You have to like
Oh,
yank on them for them to like move. They don't just go.
yeah.
So one that's actually playable would be fun to have.
Totally. And also it's like so huge. It's like you can start on one end of your room and you like roll it a couple feet and you're like already at the end of
Like
the
a few
room.
feet.
You're done.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean,
Uh,
it's funny because with the similar scale, the his tank that we got from our HasLab, the treads roll beautifully on that,
yes.
right? But the Super 7 Thunder Tank's so big and heavy that the dang things, the treads don't really roll. I mean, they're supposed to, but it's very difficult.
Yeah. Different
Yeah.
engineering teams and different
Different
designs.
engineering.
Um,
Yeah.
I thought the Jaga looked really, really awesome for this one. It's like
Mhm.
they basically it's like a literal
Oh my god.
translation of the a
Mhm.
vintage design with a MOTU figure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I would love to see him in his LJN colors, right? Yeah,
Oh
rather
yeah.
than kind of his cartoon colors. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Interesting question from RGP. Thundercats will be at retail? Question mark. I'm guessing kind of like the Turtles of Grayskull. Like I don't see these being on Mattel Creations unless they do some like crazy exclusive. So I feel like you'd be able to see these on the pegs and on the shelf.
Mhm. Mhm. And then this one, I picked King Randor, I guess, for the obvious reason that King
Yeah.
Randor is the matriarch or the patriarch, sorry,
Yeah.
of Eternia, the father figure, the kind of ruler, and Jaga has a similar role in terms of kind of leading the Thundercats and being
Yes.
the father figure role. So I thought the two made sense.
Oh, totally. Yeah. The Jaga figure looks awesome. Yeah, and then I think that's it for the good guys. I think that's all Argenta
Mhm.
2008 custom figures had, and yeah, it would be super interesting to see like what Mattel does with this line. It's like they're
Mhm.
teasing it. I'm sure that there's a lot of creative going on right now, but we've
Yeah.
only taken a look at the good guys, so we have the baddies to go through, and we are starting off with Mumra, of course, who is the leader of the baddies in the Thundercats line.
Yeah. So this was a really cool custom sketch, or a sketch by ThunderCats Classics. And this, I think he coined it Mummator for like
Yep.
Skeletor.
Mummator.
I mean, it's cool. He has a similar, I guess the arms with the kind of beast-like edges on it, and then his toes as well. Also giving a cross armor, the chest armor, and the little loincloth to kind of give him some more Skeletor-esque looks. And of course, there is the skull face on Mun-Ra's head.
Yeah, this would be a pretty much a slam dunk. Ian 2800 would love a Hordak Mun-Ra mashup. Would be interesting. So you can kind of maybe go both ways, but I think it lends itself more to a Skeletor mashup than a Hordak mashup. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting stuff. Yeah, Mr. Home Arcade also did a custom of Mun-Ra in the 5.5-inch Origins form. And so here he actually threw on his soft goods cape and had an interesting design for the waist piece and slapped that Mun-Ra, or that, what the heck, what is their faction called? Something I forget. I'm sorry.
The evil mutants, I think.
Yeah, the mutants. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
But it's a little Mun-Ra's twin snakes in the middle of his chest. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that looks awesome. That's a really great custom version of him there.
Yes, very cool stuff. Yeah, and then we're going back to Argenta 2008 customs, and he did a Rotaro, which was interesting because it uses a much chunkier buck than the other figures that we've seen. So it's kind of it deviates from that stocky, muscly MOTU buck.
Yeah, and it's really cool that he was able to do this. I wonder if he used kind of that chunky wrestler buck as a base.
Oh yeah,
for Rotaro. Yeah, and I don't know why, but I'm like, I picked Stinkor because one's a rat, one's kind of skunk, but like rats are smelly from the sewers or whatever, and I'm like, okay, rat, like they sort of have some kind of tie together, so it just sort of made sense.
Yeah, totally.
It's like funny when we were doing this, we had to kind of rationalize,
right?
Some kind of mashup connection with the figures, and it's not always easy to do and to find a MOTU character that would somehow connect to the ThunderCats character.
It totally wasn't, because I guess if we were to do like a crazy mashup like the TMNT line, it would have been a heck of a lot easier, I think, because then you can just kind of go hog wild and balls out for whatever you want to mash together. But we were trying to be like logical in this one, and I don't think that Mattel is going to go in the direction of just making turning He-Man into a Thundercat or a He-Man into a kitten. But
I get it.
Might happen.
Chef, I made it. Panthro was an engineer, but I already picked Panthro's mashup. So Tigra was the architect, and I thought it was close to at least a Man-at-Arms kind of engineering background, because Tigra is the one that designed the Cat's Lair. If you remember, Tigra is also a scientist, but he was also the architect, and that's why I like him. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. We also have Renders Effects in the house, who is the digital creator and digital illustrator of Flipor, who is awesome. He says, attack that like button with a sense of community, folks. Toy habits.
Renders.
FTW.
We had the pleasure of meeting Renders and his wife at SDCC. Enjoyed a lovely dinner with them. It was very cool meeting you and getting to sit in on the Flipor panel together. So
yes, that was fun. That was really cool. That was a first for me, being on a Comic-Con panel. That was really awesome. All right.
That was incredible.
This next one was a head scratcher for us, because we were like, okay, who the heck should Vulture-Man get matched up with? And I was like, well, they just released just revealed Voltak, who's a wing character. We've never seen Vulture-Man with wings, and so I thought that'd be an interesting way to go. Kind of similar skin
Yeah, I
tone.
mean, yeah, and they're related. They're related because they're both, bird-like animals. So vultures, type thing.
Yes.
It made sense. But
Oh,
again,
totally.
we're I'm not advocating for mashing up the characters, but we still
Right.
had fun
Yeah.
going through this exercise.
Yes. Don't take this as we're advocating for a mashup. We were just having fun.
We're not.
Like we always.
We're just having fun. We thought this was a cool discussion to have if it had to go this way in terms of what was done with the Turtles of Grayskull.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh my gosh, Hal Jordan, Vulture Man mashed up with Buzz Off would be amazing and horrifying. I totally agree. Like that would
Oh my
be.
god. Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. Turning it into a bee.
But this
Wow.
Vulture Man looks awesome. It's funny,
Mhm.
like all of these customs look like the vintage toy just in like an origin style, which
Yeah.
is what you want, right?
Exactly what we want.
You're
Exactly
like,
what we want.
exactly.
Give me this. Give me this in origins.
Yes. And Monkeyin was also that was another head scratcher because I think we had already used I think we used Beastman for somebody else. And so
We
I was
did.
like,
Yeah.
okay, let's just take a deep cut character. So I was like, okay, Chimera, was Count Marzo's imposing sidekick and he could kind of teleport anywhere. And in the cartoon, like Monkeyin was always a spy. And so I was like, okay, it's if he's teleporting everywhere, he could technically spy on people. So their
Yeah.
faces kind of look a little bit alike too. So I was like, okay, maybe they could match these guys up. But I think Monkeyin looks, I think, the best by far out of all the customs that we've seen so far.
Yeah. Yeah, that one looks really great. They did an amazing job on him. I love all
Yeah.
the straps on his like arms and legs and stuff, and he looks great. Like that's you can just reuse Moss Man's mace right
Oh
here.
yeah, that's
Like
right.
you already got a part done. I saved you 50 cents, Mattel.
Yeah. There's a bunch of beasts like that you could mash up with Monkeyin, with Groon and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like dealer's
Yeah.
choice and kind of whatever floats your boat. In the chat, we got the Toys of Time Gone By, Monkeyin and Beastman, definitely. We got Hal Jordan with Monkeyin and Grizzlor. We got Joshua Johnson with Monkeyin and Stratos. It's like there's so many things that you can
Yep.
do.
Yeah, I think we used Grizzlor on another one down below too. So there's
Yeah.
a lot of furried animals. There you go with Groon.
Yes, it's coming up. Grun actually looks really, really good too. So I'm like,
Oh
geez,
yeah.
it's making me like want them to move faster on this line, and we promise
Yeah,
to be
I'm
good.
like so excited. I don't have a clue what they have in mind. And we couldn't really get any information out of them, but this does lend to a very interesting conversation I had with one of the designers and one of the marketing directors over there at the SDCC booth, and they were picking my brain in terms of what another really cool mashup might be. They're like, well, what do you think? I know ThunderCats and MOTU totally make sense. Their fandom, it has a lot of crossover appeal, and the form factor works great with the figures. And they asked me, what do you think another great mashup toy line would be, another crossover? And I have not gotten to land on something else yet. And I think we're going to also try and do a separate poll and
Yes.
another episode sometime in the future posing that question. But think about it, all of you guys out there in the chat, and see what you can come up with. I mean, one thing I was thinking, and I've seen this done before, was like, superpowers is kind of a cool one because they did do that with the Savage World figures. And you do have like muscular type superheroes. That could be one, but I think some people were saying Silverhawks, but those I think are
yeah.
just there's too much back metal. And I don't know if that the kind of 5.5 style sort of matches up with them, but you guys put your thinking caps on, and it's going to be a question we ask in a future episode and a future poll.
Yes. Yeah, we got was it
Black Star.
Black Star? We got Steven with Battle Beasts in MOTU. We got Silverhawks. Mark. We got your favorite Baroness of Toys with MOTU and Bravestar.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
MOTU and Transformers. That would be interesting. There are two separate companies, so that would be interesting to see.
Well, maybe not.
Dino.
I'm not gonna say anymore.
Dino Saucers and He-Man. I don't know who Dino. I don't know what Dino Saucers are. So that's an interesting one.
Yeah. Yeah.
MOTU and X-Men.
All really good.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Like I think once this line gets kicked off and it's further down the road and we see concepts and what the figures design, it'd be interesting to do like a follow-up of like, okay, well then what's next? If they're obviously going to continue doing mashups, and ThunderCats is just the beginning. If TMNT kicked this whole thing off, well, actually the Masters of the WWE Universe did, so they were the first, I think, to venture into the crossover land. But all this stuff looks awesome, and I think I forget if we have one more. I think Slythe might be the last one, but Slythe made sense to mash up with Whiplash because they both have tails and they're green.
They both have tails, they're both green. I mean, that was like a slam dunk.
Not a rocket science going into this.
Probably the easiest one on the list.
Oh my gosh, Derek has something that you would probably love: Sesame Street He-Man crossover.
Oh my god! I just for everybody, I did set up like my Sesame Street characters. They're all the way across the room there, but that would be awesome.
You can have like Bert be this like super hulky dude. Be awesome.
Could you imagine? Like, and then Ernie's like, "Don't touch my rubber ducky."
Oh my gosh. That's funny. Oh boy. But yeah, Slythe is interesting. He's a lot slimmer than I would want to see him because he's usually a more chunkier, like huge looking reptile.
Yeah. But he still looks really cool, right? Yes. I mean, he does look, really cool in this form factor. They did an amazing job. These customs by Argenta 2008 are just like, knocked it out of the park on these. If we got anything like close to this, I'd be thrilled.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and I think I think looking at the chat and just I think like you said, looking at the comments, like people don't want a super crazy mashup. It's either like give us ThunderCats in origin scale, like a literal translation of the vintage figures, or do a very, very subtle mashup where it's not like super crazy. Maybe it's a mashup of like accessories, but not like totally changing the look of He-Man or all of the other characters that we know in the MOTU Ghostbusters. Oh my gosh.
There it is, those MOTU Ghostbusters. Oh, you can have like roided out, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Bert and Teela's armor. Oh god, I can't unsee that.
No. But yeah, super excited about the crossover. So yeah, we haven't seen anything unlike the Turtles of Grayskull. We haven't seen what these look like. So just saying,
not at all.
This is
all fun. But I mean, the fact that they're doing this is like a dream come true. I think, I gotta say, there's probably a huge percentage of MOTU collectors that are also ThunderCats collectors. Like there's such a crossover appeal that it's just like so natural to do something like this. I just can't wait to see what they do with it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Rob 2023 says that if they base these on these customs, the line would do really well. And I think he's right. Like I think people are probably clamoring for something that's like a little more of a literal translation.
Absolutely. I mean, to get them in the super fun, posable, playable, origin style figures that are ThunderCats would just be incredible. I mean, these things like dive off my shelf constantly and they're totally fine. You can pose them on all sorts of fun ways. They're, small enough to not take a ton of space in your collection shelf, but they're bright and they pop. They're not super expensive. So like they're great figures. I mean, they're great figures to collect. Their parts are interchangeable. I think,
Yeah.
Mattel, when they invented like this origin style, hit it out of the park. They were able to do wrestling figures. They did, Ninja Turtles, although now they're MOTUized Ninja Turtles, but there's so much they can do with this engineered buck that they created, and ThunderCats is just perfect for it.
Yes, it totally is. MOTU Mask would be awesome. I'm just saying, but again, it's two different toy lines, two different companies. So we'll see.
Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons and MOTU would be very cool. Street Fighter, that's not a bad one.
No,
None you biz.
there's actually a lot of good. There's a lot of actually great ideas coming from the chat, and it's like we can use that as the basis of like the poll of like, oh, here's like 10 different things that they can mash up.
Absolutely, Street Fighter is a good one because those are like chunky type of muscular characters or whatever. That I could see that.
Yeah, and actually, I guess I'm saying they're two different companies, but yeah, I guess Playmates and Mattel are two different companies, and they're doing a mashup. So I guess MOTU and Mask would be. I guess anything is fair game. If you want,
I mean, I guess so, but like maybe some stuff that's a little bigger, like Marvel and DC, would be maybe a lot harder to get licensure for. But you never know, because there's other companies that have that, right? DC is under McFarlane. And currently Marvel is with Hasbro in terms of Legends. So kind of grabbing that kind of stuff. Those are the things that are more complicated.
Yes, totally. Rob, no, I'm not aware that they did a Transformers Street Fighter crossover. I know they're crossover with the G.I. Joe, with the Thunder Machine and Street Fighter, but not Transformers. So I guess those crossover.
Yeah, they did. They had them last year. I think there was one that looked like Ryu, one that looked like Chun-Li.
Oh, you're right. Okay, you're right. It
was kind of more like sort of the paint factor, how when you turned it into its robot form or something that looked kind of better. Like it was, it was okay.
Yeah, Black Phoenix. If they can make enough money, the two companies will gladly work together. Yes, it's probably true. That's what's driving the bottom line anyway. So it's always money. Money.
Golden Girls and Butterfly Women. You know which one I'm waiting for? The Princess of Power crossover. I'm totally kidding. Where's their pop figure?
Waiting for Princess of Power figure.
I'm like, doing all these crossovers. Why can't we get some pop?
I know, right? A Punk with Toys snuck in here. Amazing friend of the channel and has his own amazing YouTube channel. So check him out. Hello, fools. Hit that like button. Yes, please hit that like button.
How's it going, Lord?
Yes.
I'm going to join Punk with Toys in a future episode coming up in September. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So
I really enjoyed being on his channel.
Yeah, I gotta go back and watch that episode. I think it was the week I was out at jury duty, so I haven't gone back through the archive to find it. But I hear it was very interesting. So Funko did do a 5.5 Street Fighter Savage World figures as well, and they look great. The form factor was wonderful with it. You're absolutely right, Carlos. And those two probably suffered from the very fragile limbs. So I don't know how well they. So I do own a couple of those. Actually, I have Ryu and Blanca in the 5.5 scale, and then they look great. So Street Fighter is one that has I think quite good contention in terms of crossover appeal with MOTU.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Totally. Oh my god, this is so cute. Rob. Mom says hi.
Oh, Rob, tell your mom hi. She's so sweet. Hello, Rob's mom. I apologize, I forgot her name, but good to see you.
Yeah. It will be forever Rob's mom.
So sweet. Oh,
awesome. Cool. A lot of stuff to look forward to. Yeah, I guess they haven't even kicked off the line yet, so there's a ton of stuff that is coming out, and they still have to release their Reptile Wars from the Turtles of Grayskull. So hopefully that doesn't mean that they're stopping the Turtles of Grayskull and making room for this crossover. Maybe they can coexist together. That would be awesome.
Yeah. I'm like, yo, full speed ahead with the Thundercats.
Do it.
You know?
You're like, now,
Can't
let's
wait
do
to
it.
see that. Let's do it. I'm like super excited.
Awesome. Anything that you wanted to cover off on before we close for the evening?
Yeah, I was just going to mention the Mondo Thundercats Lino is going to go up for pre-order soon. We got a tease for it the other day on Mondo's website. We did put an article up on that. And so as soon as we get any more information, we'll update the article and let you guys know. And he's going to retail for $250.
Yeah, your typical Mondo 1/6 scale price.
Yeah.
Cool. Nuno Biz, how much further do you think the Turtles of Grayskull will go? That's a good question. If they're launching a whole new like sub genre and like sub storyline, it could go another 4 waves, as I'm guessing. They revealed a lot. Like that booth was enough for at least 2 like full waves, and so they probably have a couple more waiting in the wings as well.
Yeah, I know. Wonder if there'll be another Build-A-Figure. Yeah, probably. That would be actually pretty cool. MOTU, Baroness says MOTU and X-Men. That would be a really cool one as well. It's a kind of crossover. Absolutely. With repaints, MOTU or Turtles of Grayskull could go forever.
True. All the stuff could go forever.
They're cool, but you know, yeah, we can only have so many iterations of Turtles. I think you know, it's great for the mashup line, but like we got to finish the original figures first.
Yeah, which we're not getting very many this coming year unless they're holding a bunch back, because I think Modulok and Rio Blast were it for 2025.
Yeah,
like, come on now.
We didn't even see our classic Too Bad yet, so they're waiting on it, and we want our pop line. So we thought there was going to be this huge focus on She-Ra and Princess of Power. We did see the She-Ra and the Catra for the cartoon collection, and you know Mantenna was there, but
and Hordak.
There wasn't this in Hordak, but there wasn't this big like She-Ra launch. You know, it was She-Ra characters in the cartoon collection. It wasn't quite I think what we were all expecting in terms of their anniversary launch.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, MOTU and Care Bears, how cute would that be?
Oh, so adorable. I love the Care Bears.
Very cool. Awesome.
Yes. All right. You have anything else before we go for the evening?
I don't. So yeah, this was our old time that we used to stream at, and then apologies for kicking the stream off to this day. I just had some family things to deal with, but I'm glad that we got a chance to do it this weekend nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. And we should be back to our regular time, right? Next Friday at 6:30.
Yes, hopefully.
I guess
not that I know. There's something
that
I don't know of anything at the moment, but yes, hopefully we should be back for our regular Friday stream.
But yeah, so that's what we think we're gonna do. Just keep your eyes peeled. We should be back for our regular time unless otherwise stated. But keep an eye out on our upcoming video for the end of the week. MOTU Smurfs, how adorable would that be?
That would be awesome. Be so good.
That would be awesome. Very good. And you have exciting changes coming to your toy room. I can't wait to see how your display comes shaken out.
Yeah, it's an ever evolving place, and it's like it's in a constant state of change right now. So we'll see. It'll get finished at some point. I don't know when, but actually I don't want to finish it. It sounds too final.
I know. Then you're like, damn it! Like I just added 2 more like small bookcases because I was like, I want some more display space.
I know, right?
I think I'm tapped out now. It's okay.
Cool.
Wonderful. All right, everybody. Well, so we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Happy
All
Sunday,
right. Well,
everyone.
yeah. Happy Sunday, and we'll see you next week. All right. Bye, y'all.